Hey Travis, how you doing, mate?
Hello, Jay. You all right, mate?
I'm pretty good. Let's jump straight into this. Why don't you just describe to everyone how this all started for you?
I'm a soccer player, a footballer. Not any sort of great standard, but it was, a passion of mine. I played quite a lot. I watched it a lot. And I was sort of playing vets football. I'm 42, playing vets football. And I started noticing a pain on the inside of my groins and around the top of my pubic area. And to be honest, I put up with it for a couple of weeks, but then it became quite severe. So I played another game and I couldn't finish the game. The pain was so bad. And then I left it for a couple of weeks and then went and played again. And it was almost unplayable. And I persevered for about 20 minutes and then I felt something pop further up and I sort of come off and realised I'd done something, pretty serious. So then the next stage was to go to a physio who gave me some sort of ultrasound and concluded that I'd torn my groin and I had a grade two tear in my right groin. But the pain that I had was further up on the left hand side. And I had incredible pain when I pushed my knees together. If I did a fist between my knees, I had incredible pain there. So we started on some sort of massage treatment and then some electrolysis, believe it or not. And that went on for weeks and then months, but there was absolutely nothing getting better at all. And then I started this sort of doctor's merry-go-round, if you like, where I was going to see different doctors, different consultants, having MRIs, and they all said there was nothing wrong with me, which was really, really frustrating and quite depressing, to be honest with you. And it started to feel like I was never going to get any better, which was a grim place. It really was a grim place. So eventually I started Googling it myself, and I found a guy who did operations on all the Premiership footballers at Harley Street. So I went to see him, and he said I had a Gilmore's groin, and he did an operation for me in August of 2017 to repair it. And then I came out of that and he said it went well. I did feel better there, but the minute I played football, which was at the back end of September, first time I kicked a ball, I felt my groin go. And it was almost back to square one. And I'd literally been on the pitch 3 minutes. So then I went back to him and he referred me to his physio who said that I had OP, and she started giving me worksheets to go through. But I was doing the exercises, but they weren't challenging, and I wasn't getting any better, and I was throwing good money after bad, and I was getting fed up with it. And it didn't feel like there was it was like they'd never encountered this condition before, and they were trying things in the hope that they would find a solution. And it was almost doing it blind, and I was fed up with it. I couldn't do it. I needed to know where I was going with it. I needed to know that if I was going to do something, at some stage down the line, I would be better, and I never felt that. So I went back on the net and started Googling it again, and I found Jace, and I was very sceptical. I'll be honest. When I was reading it, it sounded like a lot of hard work, a lot of, a lot of grief, a lot of, and it could have been the case that I wouldn't have got any better. But I thought, do you know what? I've tried everything else. I'll give it one last go. So I sent Jay a massive amount of medical notes of all the stuff I'd had, and he came back to me, or you came back to me, Jay, with a big load of text explaining what you thought was going on, which all made sense to me. But the most important thing was, Jay, you said that you were very, very confident that you could make me play football again, and I believed you. So I thought I would give it a go. I thought this is the last go. Let's do it. And yeah, and then we had a call, didn't we? A video call. And from that moment, I couldn't really wait to get started because that's the first time I felt like I'd taken a positive step in getting better.
What was I going to say? So what I find like so really interesting about that story, right? So a lot of people say 42 would kind of go, okay, like I've been playing for like I had a good run, I've played for long enough, and I'm getting a bit older now, I've got a kid, maybe it's time to like give it up, like, and especially
Yeah.
like like I'm not a professional, I'm not getting paid to do this. Maybe it's time to give it up, which I just think is like the worst thing in the world, right? The minute you do that, you're getting old. Like you're just
Absolutely.
admitted defeat to death.
Absolutely, Jay. I was looking around the pitch. It's Vets football. There's people. We got a left back in our team. He's one of our best players. He's like 60, and it's like, well, I want to play till I'm 60. Why should I give up 18 years without?
Well,
Why?
well, and
I'm not. I'm relatively fit. It's.
well, and so what lets you like what guys? Because I know so many people who, and not necessarily with OP, but with other injuries that are just like, nah, played for long enough. It's time to give that up. Like, like I should just give it up. Like, it's time. I'm too old. This injury, I can't get better. I've seen a bunch of people. Like, like what was it? Was it just looking around and seeing other blokes still playing? Like, what kept you going? Like, because it's not just me you found. You found that bloke with Gilmore's groin, and you were like, all right, cool. Like, that's a problem. Let me get that. At least have a look at. And tried that. Worked but didn't work. And then you were like, cool. All right, I'm gonna try again. Gotta go. And like, even let's say I helped you a little bit, but didn't fix it completely. Like, I genuinely think you'd have just gotten back on the net and tried to find someone else. I don't think you would have stopped till you got better. Like,
No, I mean, I'm very, very passionate about football. I've been playing since I was 7, always loved it. And it's the one thing that was my release from work and stress and all the rest of it. For 90 minutes, you forget it. But also there's a massive social element. All my mates are there and you miss out on so much because it's not much fun watching if you can't play, if you're injured. And, if you don't go, then you miss out on a whole load of social stuff. And even if you do go out with them socially, they're invariably talking about football and the game they've played. And, you feel even worse. So, but yeah, I wasn't prepared to give it up. Why should I? Do you know what I mean? Why should I?
yeah, no, it's funny because like as I do this more and more with people, like, and it's runners, like so many runners who get this and are just like I can't give it up. Like I just can't. There's no option. Like I can't give this up. Like I'll go insane if I don't keep running. Like it's the one thing in my life that keeps me sane. So no, I can't. Like I can't give it up. So I don't have an option. I have to find a solution. I have to get better. Or I'm
also, it was also my only sort of source of exercise because I wasn't into the gym. I don't like the gym. I don't like weights. It was my thing. For 90 minutes, I'd run around like a lunatic. I've noticed I was starting to put weight on, and I've never been big, and it's like the early videos that I did with you, I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm that big. I've never been that big. It was embarrassing.
It's funny, right? Yeah, it's funny. It's funny how it like I feel like everyone who gets better, they just hit this point where they're just like, you know what, enough's enough. There's no option here. I either get better or like nothing. There is no other option. I have to get better. That's it. They gotta hit that point.
It. Yeah, definitely.
All right, so you don't like gym, you don't like weights. You jump into the program, and one of the first things I do is I go, you're gonna need a set of weights. You're gonna need to start lifting them.
And do you know what worried me the most? Core breathing and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, I don't believe in it at all. It's just not me. I'm just, I never lifted a weight in my life. Never lifted one in my life. Never liked it. Thought people that did it were idiots. There's everything I didn't believe in, and straight away it was all there. Stage 1.
And how did you find it? Like, so as I'm
So,
going.
the thing was the core breathing, and the first bit you get lots of videos to watch, which is fine. I've done a lot of research, and I've watched the videos, and the first session there's quite a lot to watch, which is no problem. And then it core breathing, and you do an exercise where you put a book on your stomach, and you have to breathe into it and start moving the book up and down. So you get the book, you lay it down, you think this isn't going to work, and then you try it, and oh my god, the book moved. Did I do that? Wow, I can do it. I never thought I'd be able to do it, and it worked. It was like wow, I can do it.
See, it's funny because I don't get you to send me videos of that, so I
No,
didn't know anything about that.
no, but it's like, and then you can just move it in different directions where you really control. It's like wow, that's amazing.
Be careful, Trav. You might start doing yoga soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so we jumped in. We started working on it. You started working on your deadlifts and stuff. How did you feel and how did you deal with when stuff started to get hard? When it was like you would send me a video and I'd be like, you need to fix this, this, and this. How did you go about dealing with that and working your way through
So
that stuff?
I think the hard thing was, like I said, I've never done any weights before. And when I was doing it and doing it incorrectly, as you do when you start, it hurts your back a bit. So you have to, it was quite hard physically at times trying to do it. But, I found a determination to try and do it, as it should be done. And to be fair, I sent you quite a lot of videos where I needed help with it and guidance, and I think particularly the kettlebell swings, I really struggled with those, and it was so frustrating. But the 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 closer I got, the more I wanted it to do it right, and I wouldn't leave it alone. And the kettlebell at one stage was in the living room, and I'd pick it up and swing it before I did, walking past it every time, go to the toilet or go and make a cup of tea. You just pick it up and give it a go, and eventually we got there.
It's funny, right? Because it's like, well, what is a kettlebell swing? It's just an exercise, and what's the point? It's like, well, you can kettlebell swing, your foot can connect to the ground better, you can run, you can walk, and it's funny, right? Because some people are I'm so sorry for emailing you again, and it's like I'm always just like, no, email me, that's totally fine. The thing I hate more than anything is when you don't put the work in, you don't email, and then you're frustrated that you're not getting better, and it's like, oh, no, better to bang your head against the wall. That's the only way you're going to get
Yeah.
through the wall, than to kind of leave it. So you'd email me and you'd always be like, oh, hey, King, but you always seem to be positive. You're always just like, can't figure out what
Yeah,
it is.
yeah, because because I was putting the work in. To be fair, I did put the work in. I think I got to a stage where it was like, right, this is it for me. If I can't crack it now, I'm in dire straits. So literally, I threw everything into it. I was doing an hour before work. I was getting up at 5 to do an hour as
Mm.
before anyone got up, because I wanted it so bad. I just wanted to get better.
And it's funny, right? Because it was great watching, because you could see through the videos as you lost weight as well. Because obviously, the exercises
Yeah,
got more and more demanding. They just pushed harder as well. But it's interesting, right? Like once you kind of start doing stuff like that, it's like, all right, well, I'm getting up an hour before work. It almost then becomes like a source of pride, right? Like
yeah,
I like to train twice a day. That's something I like to do. And it's kind of worn off now. But for a long time, the thing that kept me going was just like I felt like an Iron Man. It's like I train twice a day. No one else trains twice a day. I train twice a day.
yeah. You get a buzz from it as well. You
Yeah,
get a buzz from knowing you've done something good for yourself.
yeah,
Something that will benefit you.
yeah. And
Definitely.
you put the work in, right? And so
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah, definitely.
and it's interesting. And the thing I always want people to come away with is this sense of invincibility. Not that you're unbreakable, but that there's nothing that can defeat you. Like, all right, cool, you could get an injury somewhere else, and it's just like, well, I'll just put the work in, and again, it'll get better. It's like that
Yeah,
sense of people who are really good in crises don't think that they can it's not that they think they can avoid crises or the crisis won't affect them. They just always know that they can deal with it. Like it doesn't stress them
yeah,
because they're like, I've been through worse. Like I can deal with
Yeah,
that. I dealt with that.
definitely.
This isn't going to be that hard, kind of thing.
And also that as you progress through the exercises and you do more weight and you do more reps and stuff like that, because I started off with I think it was a 8 kilogram kettlebell, and then I got a 32, which is pretty big, and it got delivered when I wasn't here, and the postman wouldn't bring it in because it was too heavy. My dad wouldn't bring it in because it was too heavy. And I thought that leaving it out, I think it stayed outside for a week before I managed to pluck up the courage to try and lift it. And then, probably 3 days later, I was swinging it as a kettlebell, swinging it around and doing deadlifts with it without a problem at all.
Um, anyone watching this, you will have to deadlift 32 kilos more than likely, but you won't have to swing. That's an exceptionally high number for a kettlebell swing. So
Yeah, I don't do many on that, to be honest.
well, to put things in perspective, like I can do a 40, like that white one behind. You can't see it. There's a white one behind me that's 40. But that's a struggle. Like it's hard to keep my feet on the ground. Like it's like whoa, 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 like
Yeah.
as you're doing the swing.
Yeah.
And it's weird, right? You'll notice this if you ever try like a heavier one than a 32, you get to a 40. You'll have control of it, right? So you won't be rocking like you did at the start, but it'll be this weird kind of out of control where you'll go back and forward, like really controlled, but you won't be able to keep your feet on the ground. So you'll be like on your heels, on your toes, on your heels, on your toes, and you'll just be like desperately trying to keep your feet on the ground, and your body's just like can't do it, it's just not fast enough, can't get the rhythm right, and it's just weird because you know what it's like. The heavier you go with the kettlebell swing, that's not necessarily the problem because the weight's moving, so you got momentum. It's just trying to stay connected is so impossible
Balance,
as it gets heavier. But it's good fun. If you ever get ever come across a heavier kettlebell, give it a go. It's a weird experience.
I think I'll stick with that one. I think that's more than enough for me.
I was gonna say. So kind of like to wrap up stuff. Tell people what it's been like going back and playing and getting back on the pitch again and games have been.
It's been unbelievable playing football again. I was very scared of playing again. I think you sort of pushed me into it a little bit and said, yeah, give it a go. Because when I had that op and I came back and it went again, I was so worried about the same thing happening again. And I think we spoke a lot about standing tackles, and I was worried that when I sort of opened my groin up and went through the ball that it might go. So we did some work with a slam ball. Do you remember with me just pushing it around and moving it, not with my leg but with my core almost.
Yeah.
And that gave me a lot of confidence in going back to playing. And the first game I played, I said to the manager, I said, bring me on for 20 minutes at the end or something. And I turned up and he said, you're going to start today. I was like, I can't play 90 minutes. I said, you're joking, aren't you? He said, no, go on, you'll be all right. If you're struggling, we'll take you off. And I played 90 minutes, full 90 minutes, and it was unbelievable. And do you know what? I run more than anyone in that game, and without bigging myself up, I got man of the match. It was like, yes, I'm back. And quite a few players said to me, because we had some new players, and they said, "Oh, it didn't look like you hadn't played for 14 months." They said you played really well, so I was buzzing.
Well, that's
buzzing.
That's that ball slam challenge, right? Like you get through the ball slam challenge, you can get through 90 minutes of soccer.
Yeah, definitely. And then the next day I thought, do you know what? I'm not going to be able to get down the stairs for work. I'm going to be that sore. And yeah, it was a little bit tight, but nothing like I thought it would be. So I went down and did a few deadlifts, and I was right as rain. I was amazed. I was absolutely amazed. I played again on the Wednesday, so it was brilliant.
It's incredible when you think about it. Like, and it's funny, like when you went back, and it's like, and I don't know whether you're gonna do it again. Like, I like the idea is like I want to prepare you for everything. So that's why, like, the plyometrics, like the thing I always try and tell people, it's like you don't know what's gonna happen on the field or the running tracks. It's like do things that are way worse when you're training. Like, just if you're gonna break yourself, do it on your own terms, right? Like, push a soccer ball around, and if that hurts, then maybe you're gonna have problems in the game. Fix that, and then in the game that's one less thing, but it's like for me, it was kind of like, oh, like I don't know if you're gonna do it again. You might. But in my head, I'm always just like, well, if you do it again, like it'll suck. But it just means there's one extra thing that we'll have to fix, and you'll have to wait a little bit for it to recover, and then we'll get stuck into that one thing you need to fix, and you go back out and try it again. And if it happens again, like for me, I'm never worried at that point because it's like you've already put all this work in to get from here. You were there. You're here now. Here to playing is not that far. And there's probably a few tiny things that even if stuff goes wrong, it's just like they're not big massive things. They're just little tweaks. They might be like, you're not used to having your leg out and hitting something, so you got to push a ball around to build that strength up. And none of the exercises really address that because it's such a weird angle, or you're not used to jumping from your left side to your right side and then stopping, or you can practice that. You can get good at that. It's interesting. It's like once you get to that point and you're ready to start playing, for me, that's never the point where I'm worried. I'm always like, something's going to happen. You're going to hurt yourself. That's fine. You've already put the work in, and you'll be able to use that work to get over whatever it is that's pushing you, making life hard. But yeah, I never had kind of any doubts whether it was that game that you got through and it was pain-free, or whether it was 5 games later. I was always like, at this point, you've already put the work in. You're not going to have a problem. It's just going to it might take a little time.
I think also the running helps as well. The running drills that gives you confidence that you can run distances and feel comfortable with it.
Well, yeah, and also it's like if you're going to cover 5Ks or 10Ks in a match, if you've already run that distance, well then at least you can handle that kind of workload as well.
Absolutely.
Last question. Just if anyone's kind of anyone's kind of reading the site or watching this video and is kind of going through the process and has kind of been through what you've been through, what's the thing that you would like to tell them to help them kind of get better, or help them get on the right path in terms of how they're going to go about dealing with their problem, kind of thing?
I think you have to throw yourself into it. You have to really want to get better because it's not easy. There are some dark moments. It's not always plain sailing, and you do hit the wall with certain things, and some things are really difficult to get over. But you just got to keep at it, and you've got to keep practicing. You've got to do more reps. You've got to send as many videos as you can, because Jay's great at giving you feedback, and you will get there if you put the work in. There was no one more sceptical than me when I started the program. No one, I can promise you. But I did it, and I'm really pleased I've come out the other side, and I feel like I've got a massive part of my life back. I can't say any more than that, really.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing this, and yeah, anyone who's watching this, hopefully you can take a lot. But thank you so much, Trav.
Cool. Thanks, Jay.
That was awesome.